Hey golfers, I just wanted to put together a quick breakdown of Justin Thomas's swing. He posted this the other day on social media, and I thought he is such a great example of what we talk a lot about at All Systems Golf, which is matchups, right? Understanding that if there was one way to swing, by now we would all kind of do the same thing. And, if you're working with a coach, you want to make sure that they understand that the way that you move and what you do naturally, and in this case successfully, as JT's won multiple times on tour, including major championships. So, we want to, rather than try and change this motion, understand what makes it so successful. So we've got our normal lines and circles in here in order to break down this golf swing. I don't know JT's screen specifically, but I would have to venture, and I never like to assume that when I look at a golf swing that that's what their screen is going to be. But just from things that I have seen and heard, I believe that he's got pretty tight hips and hip flexors. And so that tends to have some ramifications in our golf swing. And in his case, as he starts to take the club back, we're going to see he's got a beautiful takeaway. Everything kind of works together. Shoulders turn a little bit more than the hips. And then at this particular point, he is in that category of toe up going back. A lot of people talk about on social media this idea that the club face should always be perpendicular to the spine, and that could not be further from the truth. JT's actually worked on this move quite a bit with his dad, who's in fact a PGA professional, and the thing they always look at is where that club is going back, right? He is a guy that likes to fade the golf ball for the most part, especially off of the tee. Can certainly hit draws, and I've seen him hit a lot of draws with his irons. But I think if you ask him, he would tend to want to avoid big left misses. And so for players that do that, typically they're going to get the club a little bit more toe up. I think that's sort of an old school mentality. You don't have to do that in order to avoid left, but obviously if the face is more open, you're going to tend to see balls that start right or on line, but don't start as much to the left and don't tend to hook. You can still hook it from a toe up, so don't come at me for that. But as he starts to go back and restricts this hip turn, you're going to see that there's going to be a lack of depth to the hands. And as he finishes his turn, which he stops his turn in his shoulders and his hips right about here, and you can see very, very clearly those hands are very much in line with the center of his chest, which to me, the opposite of a guy like, let's say, like Rory or some of these other guys that have a lot of depth, their hands are going to be a little bit more back behind them. And that's as a result of either turn or a combination of turn and pulling this left arm into the chest. And JT does neither of those. So his club is out in front of him. There is a lack of depth to the hands. And as he finishes his turn, which stopped right about at P3, you're going to see what happens when the turn stops. When the turn stops, the golf club is going to tend to move this direction, and that's what you're going to see in JT. That's why he has a lot of arm lift. That's why his club continues to lack depth as he gets all the way to the top at P4. And this is what just fascinates me about looking at really successful golfers and what they do. And when we see outliers, we need to really pay attention. And so in JT's case, he is definitely an outlier. So you'll see that the club face is on the left side of the shaft. That is an indicator that the club face is very open at that particular point. You're also going to see that he has an extreme lack of depth. I mean, those hands are even with his right toe at this particular point in the backswing. So it's interesting because whereas social media says you need to have a lot of depth, you need to have a lot of rotation, that seems to be a very common theme, is we believe in All Systems Golf that when you follow the flavor of the day, you're going to tend to put people into boxes. And yes, you're going to be able to help people for sure. I mean, I would say that, I'd love to see preferentially if I was working with a junior, a little bit more depth as opposed to what JT has. because of the ease and shallowing, because of the angle of attack with driver. We can get into some technical aspects on preference. But really what we want to understand is what allows JT to be as good as he is, given that he doesn't necessarily have those quote-unquote textbook positions that we've tend to see in today's game. And so what I want people to understand is that the body tends to work sort of two ways. There's a turning of the body. You think of just turning in a barrel, if you will. And there's also a tilting and swaying and sliding of the body. And so I tend to think of it as either there's a merry-go-round or there's a Ferris wheel, right? So obviously the merry-go-round is working around in a circular fashion, but then you also have the Ferris wheel, which tends to work more in this fashion, more of a vertical, what we call as frontal plane, okay? So when you have a player like JT, you do not, the last thing you want from this golf swing is to rip and sit in the ground and rip the chest and the hips open. Why? Because when you have a lack of depth, as you start to turn, this hand path is going to work out. And as that hand path works out, there's only real one way in order to get that club to shallow and in more cases than not swing the club path straight left, hit shanks, pulls, and slices and fades. Okay, and so the way that you're going to do that is you're going to add in the frontal torque, which is going to be some tilt, some slide, and some side bend. So as JT starts down, you're not going to see a big opening of the hips early. What you are going to see as he attempts to get this club back on plane before he can rotate is you're going to see that he starts to tilt, he starts to lower the arms while that chest stays turned towards the target. And you'll see at this particular point, the club shaft is actually very vertical in relation to his right arm, right? So late in the downswing, we've got a fairly vertical shaft relative to that right arm, which is if we continue to rotate, we're going to have some really steep wipes across the golf ball. And again, that swing direction is going to be moving significantly left. And so obviously to avoid that shot, JT will continue to side bend. He'll continue to kind of have the lowering of the arms. And you'll see here at pretty close to P6, you're going to see that his hips have opened a little bit. Not nearly as much as, let's say, a Rory or some of these guys that shallow with rotation. Victor Hovland kind of comes to mind, or somebody that really rotates a lot, or Dustin Johnson for sure, right? And so what he's doing is he's allowing time for that club to shallow out. And you'll see it goes from being kind of steep on top of that right arm, and it just starts to get below that right arm right about here as we enter the late stages of P6. At this particular point, his shoulders are not back to square yet. His hips have moved not as much as maybe some of the players we see that rotate. And so what you're going to see here is he starts to continue to do that. Now he can get the shaft back on the original plane or pretty close to it. You're going to see his handle is definitely a little on the higher side. I think a hallmark of JT's swing that I've always kind of been fascinated about is how his right knee tends to push outward, which gives you less space for the hands, which moves this right hip out, which tends to move the swing direction more leftward. But you're going to see like he doesn't do that quite as much here with his irons. And I believe that if the reason why he doesn't do that is because it allows him to hit the golf ball better, right? You can imagine if a player had no depth and they started rotating and specifically push that right knee out in that hip, just how many issues that they would have with their ball striking and contact, right? It becomes much more difficult in order to, certainly for the average player, but, a world-class player like JT, you're going to have, you're still going to have some issues. So as he moves into impact, we get him just past impact, right about there. Now you can see he started to rotate his chest kind of late. His hips have started to clear significantly more. And if he had done that early, again, swing direction would be well left, tend to hit it off the heel, hit pulls, and big blocks depending on where the face is. So he's managed that lack of depth really, really well. Moving into impact, now he can freely rotate through the golf ball, and then you'll see that he'll have his exit to the left. Very little face rotation because of that rotary exit, which is a hallmark of really good iron players. I would argue and say that JT is one of the best iron players in the world, especially when he is on, and this is why, right? So I just don't see, I've seen, I'll tell you this, I've seen a lot of really high handicap players, 20 plus, be in this exact position at the top. And if we do see that, you know, we're going to tend to see that they tend to throw the club straight over the top, right? Obviously, we're talking about JT because he is a world-class player, and the things that he does to manage that, like we talked about, a lot more sliding, a lot more tilting and side bending, a lot more lowering of the arms with the chest closed in relation to the target. So really cool to watch and see. Guy absolutely stripes it when he's on. If I was giving him, you know, any advice, and he doesn't need to listen to anyone, he's very, very good already. But I would probably want to manage how his right knee moves this direction with his irons especially. I would probably manage a little bit of that lack of depth, and he could still fade the ball. You know, I think he's tending to do some of this stuff to look at TrackMan and those numbers and get those, you know, -2 sort of club path, if you will, in order to create that fade. But obviously a world-class player, a guy that I believe will continue to win. I tend to say that winners win, especially on the PGA Tour, if they don't let outside noise get in their way. And just a marvelous, marvelous example of how we don't need to rebuild every single golfer and golf swing that we have. We want to look for the path to least amount of changes, path to least resistance, and JT is a classic example. So hope you guys enjoyed the video.